What is it about Piccolo? There's just something about him that makes him one of the most enduringly popular characters in all of Dragon Ball. As a hero, people love him because he presents a stern, unflappable exterior that can give way to a warm, gooey center if he's just shown a little love. Even when all the other characters are written as idiots, you can still usually count on Piccolo to retain his common sense. His clothes are cool, his powers are cool, he's just all around cool. As a villain, Piccolo makes things happen. He breaks Goku emotionally, he breaks him physically. He kills off hero after hero, he literally does take over the world. He destroys the Dragon Balls, he eats God! Piccolo is a game changer, so it should be no surprise that his debut story arc is also a game changer. The moment that horrifying image of Goku holding Kuririn's dead body appeared in Weekly Shonen Jump, Dragon Ball changed forever. The humor, adventure, and exploration of Dragon Ball's first couple of years were to be largely replaced with bloody, landscape-destroying battles with the fate of the world in the balance. Characters pushing their bodies to the limits, dire hopelessness until an as-of-yet unseen power-up manifests itself. It's funny that these elements, seen in retrospect as the future of Dragon Ball, were seen by at least some fans of the time as the end of Dragon Ball. There was so much at stake that people assumed this must be the end. That and the fact that Toriyama had made allusions to wanting to end the series after 10 and later 13 volumes, the latter of which is around here. Toriyama even had to address it in the Q&A in the 12th collected volume of the series when a fan begged for that not to be the case, and requested the series continue for another 3 years. When Goku was fighting Great Demon King Piccolo, there were a number of "it's going to end, isn't it" rumors going around, but I have no intention of ending it at all. The idea of going for another 3 years does kind of freak me out, but I do plan on continuing it for a little longer. While the thought of continuing for another 3 years was daunting to Toriyama here, he would ultimately use the basic formula established in this arc to continue his series for another 7 years. Hello. I'd once again like to take a moment or two out of the review to talk to you all for a bit. Dragon Ball Dissection has now been going on for 2 years, and I feel I've covered a lot of ground, even if it's taken longer than I expected. But as someone reminded me recently in the comments, I have yet to review a story arc in Dragon Ball that's in the bottom half of my scores. That also means that I'm running out of higher scores to give out. I'm not saying that comes as a surprise to me. I'm not making this up as I go along. I made myself a list of my final scores before I ever made the first Dragon Ball Dissection video. Now, if I was being a bit more politically motivated, I could have arranged the scores in such a way that it would almost always keep you guessing and have high and low scores spread out evenly throughout the story. But that's not me being honest, and my scores are based on my personal opinions and critiques, not what will necessarily balance the series out. In my introduction video, I made sure to drive in the point that this series is intended to be a serious critique and analysis of the strengths and weaknesses of Dragon Ball. But since everything I've done over the past 2 years has been in my top half, it might be coming off that this is solely a celebration of all things Dragon Ball. And it is a celebration, but that's not all it is. I feel I've been fair so far at leveling appropriate criticism even as I've been praising what I love. I even threw some negativity at the Red Ribbon Army arc, and that got the top score, so I feel I haven't let myself lose objectivity. However, I feel that may have backfired. Let's be honest. From my observations, Red Ribbon doesn't make the top of many people's lists. In fact, I've seen it at the bottom of a lot of lists. So me criticizing its faults while giving it the top slot may have unintentionally come across as me being more lenient. After all, if I had so many nice things to say about that less popular story arc, what awesome things do I have in store for the really popular stuff? Well, it depends. I know I have a lot of awesome things to say about all parts of the story. After all, I love Dragon Ball. But then again, I know I have a lot of negative analysis to get out there. In fact, a large part of my inspiration for this series was to be able to explore and analyze certain things about Dragon Ball that I do feel are a bit lacking because that's always interested me. I also want to shed some light on why non-fans have common, valid criticisms about the series, but through the fans' knowledge that I possess. And I want to share some possibly uncommon knowledge that I've picked up, and I want to give some perspective on the series to those who might only be more familiar with the later Z era. So I have a lot of goals. And being critical is one of those goals, so I just don't want people to be surprised when it comes up, because the fact of the matter is, you people scare me. We Dragon Ball fans don't exactly have the best reputation when it comes to accepting dissenting opinions. We just don't. And I don't want you to hurt me. Unlike, say, the Star Trek films, where popular opinion on where each film stands comes down to a common numbering formula, and even if you don't agree, you can pretty much expect and be prepared for where your favorite film is going to fall, Dragon Ball doesn't have that kind of consensus. The things I love about Dragon Ball might be things you hate, and the things I hate might be things you love. And ultimately, someone's favorite story arc is going to fall on the bottom of my scoring system or come under intense scrutiny. It's inevitable. But I don't want that to come as too much of a surprise, so I feel it's only fair to give this reminder every once in a while. There may be certain aspects of Dragon Ball I don't like, and those things might cause me to give an arc a low score, but ultimately I like all of Dragon Ball, even the arc that will get a 1. Okay, I'm done. Kuririn dying has sparked something in Son Goku we've never seen before: vengeful rage. We've seen Goku angry when Murasaki threatened to kill number 8 for sticking to his principles. We've seen Goku determined to set things right when Boro was killed. But this goes beyond either of those, and actually killing Kuririn starts this arc off with a wham moment that's difficult to top in terms of effectiveness. While it means that Kuririn is going to be absent for literally the entire arc, I don't think Toriyama could have chosen a character that would have had more impact on the audience or motivate Goku so powerfully. This starts a series of events that will keep Goku largely separated from most of his friends, well, for the next 3 years, but for the entire arc as well. Now, how does that work out? In some ways, very well. In other ways, well, just try to follow me for a moment. In this story arc, Goku meets up with a minion of the main villain. This minion destroys Kinton, leading Goku to have to find alternate means of transportation for a while, but it's ultimately a temporary loss. Later on, an extremely powerful foe seeks out Goku in his attempt to collect the Dragon Balls. This foe is so powerful that he seemingly kills Goku and goes about his merry way. In the aftermath, however, Goku's new friend realizes that he is not, in fact, dead. Goku decides he must get stronger by climbing the Karting Tower. At the top, Karting offers Goku an elixir that will make him much more powerful. After getting his power boosted by Karting, Goku manages to defeat the enemy utterly. I'm sorry, but haven't we already seen this? Let's see, Goku leaves his friends, he loses Kinton, he's seemingly killed by a powerful new enemy, friend realizes he isn't, Goku gets power up from Karting Tower, defeats enemy, yes! This is the Red Ribbon Army arc! I mean, I am just amazed! Dragon Ball does get pretty formulaic in its later years, and this arc does start setting that formula in motion, but I don't think it's ever as specifically the same as it is here. Same hardship, same battle, same mentor. Unfortunately, in terms of what Goku is given to do, this feels more like the Great Demon Retread arc. So that's just insane, but I'll expound on my feelings on each of those specific things when I get to them. What does work for me is that Goku is being removed from the group without being removed from the story. Later arcs do have that problem. Like I said last time, Toriyama is starting to fall in love with the plot device of removing Goku so he can show up at the last minute and save the day. If it was in an embryonic state in the last arc, it's fully given birth to it here. But the mistake the later arcs sometimes make is to remove Goku so much that he no longer feels connected to the story. Here he's not removed, just separated. He's not stuck in a bed, he's not out in space, he's actually actively involved in the story. And the fun thing is that while the other characters learn things that Goku doesn't, Goku is experiencing things they don't. We as the audience then know things that none of them know fully, and that's really interesting. Unfortunately, it's not taken as far as it could be, and most of what Goku ends up learning later is stuff we already know, so we have to learn it twice, but overall the multiple branching of the cast works here. So after Goku rushes off, Oolong finds a slip of paper with the Ma or demon kanji written on it. The Muten Roshi recognizes this as the calling card of Piccolo Daimao, or the great demon king Piccolo, who once terrorized the entire world until Turtle and Crane's master Mutaito sealed him away with a technique called the Mafuba, or Demon Seal Wave, a move so powerful it cost Mutaito his life. A number of interesting things here. 1. Hey, Oolong got to do something important. It's not much, but hey! Also, I love the mystical elements of Piccolo's backstory that seem like a really cool legend, but with just a bit of a Dragon Ball twist. Sealing evil spirits away with magic charms written on scrolls is classic in Japanese stories, but sealing them away in this denshi jar, which is an electric rice cooker, I don't know, but that just cracks me up. Especially seeing Piccolo's horrified reaction to a denshi jar later on. Also, just like in the Red Ribbon arc, I have to wonder about the naming scheme. I think it's gotten to the point where Piccolo the character is more well known among the younger generation than Piccolo the musical instrument, but Piccolo is the Italian word for small and was given as a name to a small flute, and it is after this the character is named. Piccolo creates new minions by spitting up eggs from his mouth, and he names all of them after instruments as well. Toriyama says this is because he thought it would be funny if such threatening villains had silly names. In Universe, Lunch even comments on Piccolo being a dumb name. So, just like I asked about with Bluma, is Piccolo aware of the naming scheme he's giving his children, or is it just a coincidence? Further confusing the matter is that later on we'll find out that Piccolo is actually an alien word that means another world. That opens up a whole other set of questions for me, but I'll save that until we get to the Frieza arc. But for now, does that mean the other names have other meanings too? Is Piccolo himself in on the joke? Like that tambourine and cymbal actually mean bad man and kill you, but he thinks it's funny they mean something else in Japanese or whatever language these people are supposed to be speaking? Finally, it's interesting that Muten Roshi's giving out all this exposition and yet no one else knows about this. Not even Yamcha knows about this, and he seems to know every obscure martial arts fact there is. But it's because of this that I find myself scratching my head over the whole Piccolo thing. How long exactly was he terrorizing the world before Mutaito was able to put a stop to him? Because you'd think if there was a demon taking over the world for any appreciable length of time, that stuff would be in history books. That would be like the equivalent of a world war, atomic weaponry, manned moon landing. Kids would be learning this stuff in school. The timeline puts this as about 300 years in the past, but even barring the fact that there are still people alive who would have been around to witness it, that's still not that old. I mean, in this arc, Piccolo's going to take over the world and it's only for a day, but you don't see people forgetting about that within 20 years. Okay, bad example.